Everybody ready? Good evening and welcome to this evening's meeting of the Committee of Adjustment for Wednesday, December 14th, 2022. The first item on the agenda is call to order. So I'll call the meeting to order. It is 5 p.m. And the next item on the agenda is election of the chair. I sent an email describing what the process was for that. So the first thing I will do is ask, are there any nominations for the position of chair?
Lori.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Okay, seeing none, our new chair is Lori Prescott. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I will now turn the chair over to you.
All right.
That's right.
Okay, thank you. All right. Yes, okay. Thank you so much. We will now proceed with item number 3, approval of the agenda. And the motion is that the agenda for the Committee of Adjustment meeting of December 14th, 2022 be approved as presented. Do I have a mover? Okay, thank you. And seconder to adopt the agenda as presented. Yes, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. And item number 4, are there any declarations of interest? Okay, and oh, I'm sorry, did I skip? No, there's, okay. And so the minutes held, item number 5 is a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting held on September 8th, 2022. And I have a recommendation that the Committee of Adjustment minutes dated September 8th, 2022 be accepted as presented. Do I have a mover? Okay. And a seconder? Daniel, thank you. All in favor? Motion is carried. Item number 6, staff report, consent application, vacant land, Churchill Road West. Item 6.1 is a motion to approve the consent application for the vacant land, Churchill Road West. I have a recommendation that the Committee of Adjustment approve the proposed consent application SEV 2022-02, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, the balance of any outstanding taxes, including penalties and interest, and any local improvement charges, if applicable, shall be paid to the town. Number 2, an acceptable reference plan or legal description of the severed lands and the deed or instrument conveying the severed lands, demonstrating the new property lines for both properties, shall be registered and submitted to the town. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the motion for discussion purposes? Mover? I'm sorry.
Jim.
Jim. Thank you, Jim. And a seconder. Louis, thank you. And Sean Merriman, Manager of Building and Bylaw, will speak to the report.
Yes, so this property is over on the north side of the tracks. It's just off Churchill Road, just in behind where the gas station is, what used to be the Esso. I think it's called that or Bakery or something like that now. But this property is also adjacent to the Beaches Hardware property that's even in behind it that comes in off the other side. This property has been in an established neighborhood for quite a long time. Yeah, I don't even want to begin to guess how long it's been there. And the owner of the property has also owned this property for basically forever. So he has decided to sell his property, and he wanted to create a new lot so that he could possibly have another business in the future. And so he brought in the application on October 22nd, 2022. The beautiful thing about this lot, it's properly zoned for the appropriate use. The lot that he's creating, plus the lot being retained, has adequate frontage, coverage, everything that's needed, for the thing. 60-meter buffer was created, from the property. All the, people were notified via mail, prior to 10 days. The property was posted more than 10 days prior. And I can advise that I had checked at least twice, including today, and the sign was still posted on the property, and visible. To this point, the town departments were also notified, and there was no concerns expressed. And I can advise you that no concern or expressions of concern from the public came forward regarding this application. And that is my report.
Thank you, Sean. Is there any discussion on item 6.1? Anyone? Questions? Jim?
Thank you, Chair. If I may share through you, Sean, including meeting the zoning bylaw requirements, I'm assuming also means that the retained lot will meet the parking requirements.
More than enough.
Thank you, Chair.
We won't know for sure for parking until he decides what to build on it, but more than adequate.
Any other questions? All in favor? Thank you. And so this item 6.1 is carried. Thank you.
Hold on, sir.
All right, I got just very shortly, so I very well ahead. I just want to make sure we're good.
Not a problem. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you all. Take care now.
Thanks, you. Craig brought something to my attention just now. If I may, if we could do some introductions, which I neglected to do. Can we start? It's Daniel.
Without me?
Yes.
Oh, Daniel Slender.
Yes. Okay. And
Next item, we got Dave.
Nanton,
Sorry, from Botan, for in relation to 6.2.
6.2, okay, and
We also have
Holly,
also from Botan.
Okay.
In relation to 6.2.
great.
I'm Matthew Armstrong,
Yeah.
CEO and treasurer, and
Dana Valentine, Economic Development Officer.
Craig Worthy, member,
Who is the other member?
and Jim Hutton, member.
Jim Hutton,
Sean Merriman, manager of building bylaw.
Lindsay, or Caitlin,
Caitlin.
yes, okay, sorry about that. Item 6.2 is a motion to approve the minor variance application for the south side of Prescott Center Drive, between McDonald's and Dollar M. I have a recommendation that the Committee of Adjustment approve the minor variances applied for in MV 2022-03 with the following conditions. The balance, if any, of the outstanding taxes, including penalties and interest, shall be paid to the town of Prescott. And that approval, number 2, the approval of the minor variances is granted and fixed to the general size, location, extent, and design of the proposed development as prescribed in this report. And number 3, the site plan for the lands remaining will be obtained within 1 year. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the motion for discussion purposes? Craig? Second, Daniel, thank you. And Matthew Armstrong, CAO Treasurer, will speak to the report.
Madam Chair. So before you this evening, what we have is a minor variance application, and it's in relation to a 4-story hotel that's intended to be a quality inn. It will sit on the vacant lot that currently exists between McDonald's and the Dollar Inn that's currently being built. We did have a previous severance that was addressed last year through a severance process to create the lot. And so even though it's an undersized lot, it does fit all the parameters other than the lot size, which we've already approved. So there's two minor variance requests in relation to this particular development. One is overall visibility, and the second being that our zoning bylaw requires that for this side of the building, you would have to have 4 living spaces. And so I'm just going to talk a little bit about that concept. And there's 4 tests that we have when we're looking at minor variance. And the first fact that we go to, is it keeping with the general intent and purpose of the plan? And so when we take a look at this development, absolutely this area is focused on larger format buildings. It's focused on creating a kind of a commercial hub in the north end. And so we very much see that adding a hotel to this is keeping with the official plan. It doesn't keep with the zoning bylaw, and the zoning bylaw does state that a hotel motel is applicable for this area. And so it very much fits within that. So really what we're talking about is 2 minor variances being building height and the loading space requirement. So we take a look and say, is it minor in nature? So when we talk about being minor in nature, it's not a mathematical calculation to say, well, it's 10% more, so that's minor. It's minor. When you're considering minor, you have to take both the quantitative and the qualitative aspects of it. And so what are the building heights around it? So you have some Grenoble to the south, we'll have the new Wellington House, so that would be built south of the high school. We have the 2 box stores, the entire independent, and then we have all around directly beside along with McDonald's. So in terms of the overall makeup, it seems to fit well within that neighborhood, and therefore we felt it was minor. When we took a look at the number of loading spaces, again, our zoning bylaw, when we took a look at it, is more geared towards, and it just specifies commercial. It doesn't say if you're a hotel, it's this, or if you're retail, it's this. But when we took a look at it, if you're a retail spot like Canadian Tire and you're that many square feet, it makes perfect sense to have that many loading spaces. Because it's mostly a self-contained business. There's not a lot, there's no merchandise kind of going in and going out, so you don't have that retail kind of merchandising aspect to it. Then one large parking or living space is adequate in our mind. Also, they made the allowance to increase the total number of spaces, parking spaces, by an additional 5 for the minimum number. And they've done a good job at trying to move all of the parking kind of away from that eastern and southeastern heads where it does about some residential. And so when we took a look at it, also from a higher building perspective, they were confident in the fact that sound carries, so doing sound mitigation to move it. And so when we take a look at the fitting with the neighborhood, does it, are they really compensating arrangements? Then yes, it does appear that they're minor in nature. And then the 4th test is really, is it desirable and appropriate land use for the building and structure? And so we feel yes, it does fit in very well in there. Attracting hotel off the highway is obviously the dream of every community along the 401. It very much fits with our official plan. It very much fits with our strategic plans. Both county strategic plan as well as our economic strategic plan. And so when we take a look at what is best used for that remaining space there, then yes, we do feel it does very much fit in with that overall aesthetic, with the overall intent of what we're trying to create in that area. It's not going to stick out like a sore thumb. It would be, you would expect a hotel when you drive off the road. So that was a bit of our analysis. We also, Ben is here on behalf of the developers, and they will be happy to answer any questions as well as I do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. Is there any discussion on item 6.2?
Just,
Okay.
have we, had any,
Oh, let me ask you about this. So it was posted more than 10 days at the site, and then Mr. Merriman confirmed that it's still posted today. We sent out letters to everyone within a 60-meter buffer. We only received an inquiry from one. A gentleman asked for the report that you received this evening, responded back and said, we appreciate the fact that mitigation has been taken and accounted for, and thank you very much for the report and have no other issues. So, and that's a couple of other things. When they were looking as to where they could situate the building, they tried to create green space between them, as much green space as possible, between them and the residential housing. Also, there is a main trees as possible, and I can confirm that both the sound and the lighting study very much is appropriate and for that area, and is not kind of moving the sound to that sense as well as light.
So that's the only response we received.
That's right.
Jim?
Thank you, Chair. Just have a question on the outdoor. I know it says gas barbecue there, and Matthew has mentioned the residences nearby. And when Matthew referred to sound, was there a noise study actually submitted with this proposal?
Absolutely. So there was a study submitted. It's as per commercial regulations. And so they took a look at both the sound from the 401, the sound created by the establishment itself, and then what mitigating circumstances were put in place. And they actually went above and beyond. The recommendation was that, given that the parking was far away as possible, all those types of things, that there wouldn't be that sound penetration. Also, they provided for a wooden 8-foot tall fence to be able to buffer the sound back.
And all of that, of course, will be implemented through site plan control.
That's correct.
Thank you, Chair.
Anyone else? Questions? Comments? All right. No. I will now call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Does anyone have any new business they would like to bring forward? And I'm sorry, the motion is carried. Before I move along, does anyone have any new business? And there are no questions from the media. Item number 9 is adjournment. I have a recommendation that the Committee of Adjustment meeting be adjourned, and the time is
So
5:17. Do I have a mover, Craig? And a seconder for the motion? Jim, thank you. All in favor?